I'm very proud of this one really, because I produced this one from my own seed. I'm gonna put them in pots very shortly and grow them all through the winter, and as I said, in the springtime they'll grow and grow and grow, and they'll produce the seed pod, you see, which will come from there.
If not even
yes.
better.
Well, they may be quite well. They may be better. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. All depends on the season, you see.
How do you then make certain you grow an onion of that size?
Well, the seed. Get a nice compost first of all. You must get a good quality compost, seed compost. I've got one which is my favourite called Evering, E-R-I-N. I get it from Mr. What's the name of the place? Lings is a specialist on all the compost. Well, I get a bag of that, a full bag. I want a tray. Put the compost in the tray, but first of all, I ought to have said you need a propagator. Some people have these proper, real, board. But Charlie, I'm a bit of an amateur, you see. I have an oil stove underneath, and fill my tray with the compost, then sow the seed. That will produce sow this in maybe December, and that will produce little onions come up like that, and they will grow and grow, and when they get in the crook stage, I get 3-inch pots, and that around about that deep, and plant every individual onion in every pot. See, and because when they grow and grow and grow, and eventually in May, just put them in your garden, plant them in your garden. But you've got to have special preparation. That's the main thing.
In the garden?
In the garden itself, yes. Yeah.
Are you going to tell us your secrets or not? You don't have to.
Well, not really. Well, I could tell you my secrets, but it's everybody asks me this. Yeah.
When do you crop them?
Around about August time. Well, for the Orford Flower Show, you'd have to take them up in middle of August, and put them in the greenhouse, where they're not in a too hot a position. They want to go in the shade, half shade and half sun, and they'll ripen off like this. You have to try and get the skin set, you see. These they shouldn't. It's not very like being loose like this, but some people they peel all the skin off, so they look nice and shiny. Well, we better start at the Orford Flower Show. Could I just tell you a little story about my dad?
Yes.
Well, it was in 1966. My dad, he had to enter hospital. He had a major operation, and I went to see him in June in 1966, and he was, just getting over the operation, and he said to me, he said, "Charlie boy," he said, I shan't be able to do much any more gardening now, much. He said, "The garden is yours." He said, I would like you to enter the flower show." He said, "I'm sure you're going to do well." Well, I did. To cut a long story short, I was champion. And one particular thing in that flower show was I entered 3 collections of vegetables of 6 kinds, and I got first prize for all 3 collections. For the big one, I got the blue ribbon and the silver medal for the best exhibit in the show, and that really pleased me. And I suppose I had 65 entries. 65 entries, and I can remember I got finished about 3:30 in the morning on the Saturday morning. I was digging all Friday, like parsnips, carrots, all took time, dig them all up and had to wash them, you see, and tie them all up and prepare and pack them into boxes. And as I said, I got finished around about 3:30, and I was really flagged out. I just got down in the chair and I was just flagged out. And the door opened and there was Mum. She said, "Well, aren't you going to bed?" I said, "Well, yeah, of course I'll go to bed, Mum." She said, "Well, you've got to get some rest." So I said, "Okay, I'll go to bed." So up I go. We had 19 stairs. That was a bit of an effort to get up those. And I reckon I got into bed about 4 o'clock, 4:30. And lo and behold, at 5:30, I was up again, down my garden, cutting my cabbages, which were huge, enormous. They were 25 pounders. And that was a job on its own, really. And I used to have a tractor and trailer, and my trailer, it was a big trailer, and that was more or less full. Yeah. And I think that was one of my best achievements I've ever had in my life, really, when I first started. And I went on to win the next year, and I won 5 years on the trot, the main trophy, most points in the show, which was very pleasing.
Who were your main competitors at that stage?
Mr. Ashley over the way here and John Backhouse. They were very good gardeners. Yeah.
So what do you put your success down to?
Well, I learned a lot from my dad. A heck of a lot. You know, I used to go around in the early I was I used to go down his garden watching what he was doing, you see. And he learned me a heck of a lot. Yeah.
Where does that story start?
Well, I'd been, you see, entering the Orford Show for many, about 15 years, I suppose. And in 1977, my health took a rather downward step. I had to go in for a major operation. That's me cancer of the colon. So that put me back a bit. The first operation was in 1978, and the funny, well, it wasn't funny. The major thing was another that happened again in 1982. So that put me really, you know, out my stride really. And I managed to get over all this setback. And somebody asked me one day, would I like to go in for the Suffolk onionship? See, that's the major competition, which was held at Hadley. And I thought, well, I think I would. So I did enter. My brother John took me over to Hadley, and we had a nice board which held the 6 onions, you see. A lovely little board. There was a stand at the back, and there's these little cups on for the 6 onions to go on. And we put them in, it was early in the morning. We were banging away at this box trying to get it together, you see, because we had to take the pieces to clean the car. And we was hammering away and echoed all through Hadley when we knocked the nails in. And anyway, took them down to the little hut, the big, well, it wasn't a little hut, that was a big hut. And remember John said to me, he said, well, he said, we've got the onions in the show. He said, we'll go round the town. We went and had a beer in Hadley King's Head and a meal. And 1 o'clock, I think it was, 1:15 it opened. So we went down, and the door was open about like that, just about 2 inches. John looked through, and that got on. Show not opened at the moment. The judges are still judging, so we had to wait. See, so but the door, as I just said, was open like that, and John peeped through, and he could see my onions, and he said, "You've got it, boy." He said, "You got it." You could see my red card, you see. And he said, "You won." Well, that was a thrill in its own, really. Of course, we went in, and there it was. The cup was on the stand, and all the, everybody was there. Congratulations, pat me on the back and everything, and that was a great day. Yeah.
So that meant you were the best onion grower?
Yeah, I was a champion of Suffolk. Yeah. So that was that. And the next year I entered the same again at Headley, and I won again, which was good. And the third year I was second, and I won again in 1988. So I was champion 3 times and second once. So that was one of my main achievements, in my career, really.
But I bet everybody wanted to know your secrets.
Oh yes, definitely, yeah. But that's getting the strain of seed. You see, that's the point. I get the garden news, and when I go around these big shows, I see the main prize winners, and I take a note of the main prize winners, and sometimes they advertise the seed in the catalogue, and that's when you've got a strike, you see. And if you're not quick, they'll be sold out in no time. But mind you, it's not cheap. It's around about £5. Yeah. And the same as an elite plants, they're £20 for 15 plants. But that's well worth it in the end if you get the first prize. This was a pumpkin I had in my garden, and I said, in my back of my mind, I'll enter it in the flower show for the heaviest pumpkin. Well, I went to it and I really admired it, and I couldn't even shift it. It was because I'm not being very strong, but I couldn't seem to move it at all. So I thought, well, I don't know, I think I shall have to leave it there. No, it's too heavy for me to manage. And then I phoned the Evening Star up and told them I'd got a nice pumpkin down my garden, a big pumpkin. Would they like to come down and picture it? And that's the result. And he's wrote a story about it. I don't know if you'd like to read the story, could you? Well, I was coming up from my home with my cousin in the trailer, with my tractor and trailer. My cousin was sitting in the back, and when we got to the recreation gates, there was maybe 500 people outside the main gate. And I got out my tractor cab and I said, "What's all this about then?" I said, "Charlie," I said, "you want to be careful now." I said, "The Hells Angels have been raided the show." And what they done was, before the show, they got the motorbikes. They had the band before the show procession, you see. And what they done was, they got the motorbikes. They went in the band itself and revved the bikes up and scattered the band. The band had to disband. If you see what I mean. Yeah. And they got into the show, went into the tent, they ate the cakes, they got hold of the wine, they drank the wine, they tipped the tables over. One man on the little kiddies roundabout, he packed up and went home, And of course everybody said, where the police, where the police? And the police you didn't see a policeman. And after they'd done the damage on the recreation ground, they went down to the quay. And 5 o'clock, I think, the police went down, about 6 on motorbikes. Never got any press cuttings. No, there must have been one. But I'll try and get the year. I know somebody will know the year.
Going back, well, 35 years.
It must be.
Must be 35 years going back.
But what happened? Because you had no cakes to judge, or had they
yeah,
been judged?
They didn't take all the cakes. They nibbled.
Judged.
Huh? They'd been judged. You see, they just took somewhat. They cut some, don't they, for the samples, don't they? Well, they took all those and drunk some of the wine. Yeah. They tell me that there was a scout down at the castle all the week, and I saw the same chap. I think he was in the King's Head. He used to go to the King's Head every night. Well, I didn't go every night, but that's where he was, and he was looking around the village to see the different places where they could cause a nuisance, I suppose. Yeah, but that was a real, oh dear me, I don't know, that was a real one highlight, but the allotment was down at opposite the greenhouses. I'm still there.
Yeah.
I had it since 1966. Yeah, and have had it ever since. Yeah.
And so you still go up there now?
Yeah. Well, I've got an electric bike now, so I can get down a bit quicker. And get home a bit quicker.
So do you come back with your onions strung around your neck?
Well, I can tell you what I have been doing during the summer, and I've had some marvellous asters and dahlias, and the chapel like me to take them down there, you see. Well, I've got a basket on the front, and I put a pail, and I placed the flowers in there, and they stretch about so far out, you know, and that's a wonderful sight, really. I'm really proud to come along the high road, you know, and everybody's looking at them, you know, they're saying, oh, what marvellous flowers. Yeah, and I'm really proud of them. Yeah, I've done that about, what, 8 times this year, dear? Yeah. Well, it takes all your spare time. I mean, when I lived down Sudbourne Hall, you see, my garden was very, very handy. Just 50 yards down the road, and I was there. Well, I even used to spend about 10 minutes in my dinner hour to go around and see if everything's okay. But you've got to be there. You know, I mean, I was a lot younger then. I mean, I'd go around and do digging in the evening time, you see. But as you say, that takes up all your time. You know, every time I've gone in for these big shows, I've enjoyed every minute, really. People look up at you, you see. And I must just mention there was a show at Ipswich, Chantry School. I entered a collection of vegetables there, 6 kinds, and I just prepared it. Well, I was looking at it, you see, and I see the first prize, and I was very pleased, and I was walking away, and all of a sudden there was a tap on my shoulder. This gentleman said, excuse me, he said, but are you Mr. Brown? I said, I certainly am. He said, well, I'm a judge. He said, I'm Percy Thra's brother. He said, I'm a judge, and I judged your vegetables, and he told me, he said, it gave me a lot of pleasure in doing that. So that's a feather of my cap on its own. Yeah. The first time I entered, it was a Hadley, me heavy onion was there on the plate, and somebody said, well, is that onion yours then? And what's your name? I said, my name's Mr. Brown. And he said, well, I know the gentleman, he said, next door, next to yours, he said, whose onion that is? He said, his name is Mr. Rolfe, who lives in Hadley. And he told me, he said he had his onion roots dipped in water all night, just to make that a fraction of a pound heavier. But I still beat him. Still beat him. Good and proper.